Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Tesla. Today is, what is it, Tuesday, 7/2, and the stock is moving after hours, spiked on a delivery report, either delivery or production or sales, some sort of report we were waiting for, and boom, the stock is up 7, 8, 9%, whatever it's up after hours. So, is this a time to chase it or not? So this is a daily chart for Tesla. You can see it's been not happy for a while. Some sort of a channel I can draw down here, all the way down. Is this it? Is the worst over? I can't tell you. So first, let's spend a minute on the fundamentals. Actually, less than that. For me, it's a complete coin flip as to whether they're going to survive as they are right now under the current management. So if it gets cheap, and it's not going to zero, as somebody said. If it gets cheap enough, they're going to snap it up. I mean, they did all the legwork. It's not a DeLorean. It kind of is a DeLorean, but it's got good enough production, a lot of demand, great brand. The leadership, Elon, has been kind of crazy in the social media, so kind of put a stigma on the stock. Now, it has very challenged fundamentals. So they burn a lot of money, they borrow a lot of money. Luckily that the Fed is keeping the rates low, so the interest rates are not going anywhere anytime soon. I believe their cash positions are okay for now. They do have payments coming up. I'm not an expert. All I know is the people that are calling for 4,000 stock price are crazy. The people that are calling for zero are crazy. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth, which doesn't even matter, because today's point is turn that off and trade the charts. I've traded the charts. I can tell you what's, let me put my lines on there. Don't get scared. I have all my lines turned off. I'll explain them. It's a whole bunch of lines that are going to jump in. Boom. All right. So the point of this is that I drew these yellow lines before I knew anything of headlines. And I know that from here, when it was here, that there's a tight situation, and then it's going to resolve itself in two ways, one or two. So technically, one is coming to, obviously it's the upside scenario that's playing out, so I can ignore this for now. The upside scenario shows that it spiked and that it could have more to go. So is it time to get in or not? I'll tell you my opinion. So let me mark it up first. I need to bring the scratch pad. I got a new monitor yesterday, and it's driving me nuts. It's a great monitor, 4K, so one out of, I'm not used to the resolution anyway, so I'm finding it hard to find the mouse. All right, so what I know is that this after-market spike is not coincidental that it's stalling where it is. I call it stalling, that it's reaching where it is, so not to upset anybody. Okay, so because this zone right here has been pivotal, and I highlighted with this yellow box that I drew months and months ago. I mean months and months ago. And months before that, I drew this box, which came into play here, that gave it support. So this is why it caught my attention a while back, and here. And if I extend more, I'll bet you I'll find more instances, and we'll go back further. All I know is this was a floorboard that they tried to hold on desperately. One time here, at least one time, and throughout this last dizzy. And then they finally broke through it. So if I consider this right here, this is kind of like the middle of it. So they call a halfback test, whatever you want, Fibonacci, 50% retracement, blah, 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 blah. Here it is, right there. So right from that perspective, this should be, it shouldn't be butter on the way up. They should spend some time at it. So if I start here, in my opinion, I'm putting a lot into faith. And so ideally, I want them to clear it. Unfortunately, it's a zone. It's not a hard line in the sand. But if I were to pick a hard line in the sand, I'll pick the high of the candle after hours as number one, and which is 244. Let's call it 245. Wow, 1 penny shy of that. That's the high of the candle that I see currently. So at least wait for that to be breached and closed above it before I chase it. That would be my personal note. Second would be this part right there, which is 260. Nice and neat number. Right? So these would be the two numbers that stand out. So let's dissect it a little bit. So earlier I had this blue scenario and two blue scenarios. and I said something's got to give, either a breakdown or a breakout. So I'm going to zoom out. So this is a 1 day. I'm going to go to a weekly. That's probably a weekly chart. Okay. So weekly, oh, by the way, that's that same red zone. If I extend it, look, it turns into this giant zone. So consistently, it's a pivot area. Notice, area. Okay. So I drew that blue probably somewhere on here. I'm not going to dig it up because it's a floor. They try to stop it, and I said if they lose it, they're going to drop to here. Well, they exceeded my expectations, and they dropped it a lot further than this. Well, now they're coming back up. So anytime they lose a neckline and they reach that neckline back, you've heard the term before, prior resistance becomes forward, prior support becomes forward resistance, right? That's what it means. Support failed, and now they're coming back at it. It should be resistance at least at the first effort. So they're going to hit it, drop down, the reload, and if the news continues to be good, maybe they get up this second time around. Because then that starts to look like an inverse head and shoulder of sorts. That's how these patterns develop. Now, if I go a little bit further, this was resistance, right? Same level. So once they broke over it, resistance became support. Prior resistance became forward support. It's the opposite of what's going on here. So I don't try to catch it on its first go around until it takes out the spike high. When there's a headline, they overshoot. So why not wait a few candles out? This is unemotional. I have nothing against it. In fact, I've gone long it more than short it. I remember one time shorting it, but this is a controversial stock. It has a lot of emotions in it. It's hard to trade it with a clear mind. Use the lines to make the decision for us so we are not emotional into it. So this candle after hours on Tuesday the 2nd of July, the high should be the earliest I chase it. Now I can argue that this neckline that they just crossed is a cup and handle format-ish, and it could have more upside to go. I'm not disputing that. In fact, I already drew it before it happened. That upside yellow line I've had for a while. I can't remember when I drew it, but definitely not today. I haven't looked at Tesla in a while. So this would be the upside pattern playing out. I don't say it's not going to happen. I'm just saying I don't start chasing it unless I want to put faith into it. So how can I chase it without buying something? I could sell put spreads where below current levels, wherever it differs at the time frame. I don't want to sell put spreads into an event like earnings or whatever else events they have. So they have one somewhere early August. So I have a few weeks to sell them. They are available weekly. They probably have one expiring this week, next week. Maybe July 26th would be the latest because they might have a pre-announcement of sorts. Elon is notorious with his tweets, unpredictable, although he's been quiet lately. They were leaking documents here and there. It's just a complete headline mess. I don't like to settle into unpredictable headlines because then I can't do homework. If this was Apple, I can do homework and say it has support. That could have a headline, but less likely than Tesla, for example. All right. Next signing up. Again, it's unemotional. Just look at the chart and see what the chart is telling you and take the emotions out of it. It is a controversial stock. All right, next signing up.